If you find yourself sitting down at the laptop after the kids go to bed, the house is finally quiet, and then you open up a blank document on your computer screen and you stare at it for a few minutes, and then you find yourself closing it down again because there's a voice in your head constantly saying, I don't even know where to start. If you've ever felt that way, you are not the exception. You are standing exactly where almost every woman who has ever started a business has stood at the beginning. And the mistake really isn't that you don't have the ideas. The mistake is that you think you need to build a whole business and you don't. You just need one number to start in the online space. So instead of trying to build a business, start by choosing what I call a believable number. And a believable number is like the smallest amount of money that would actually make a meaningful difference in your life. So like not a fantasy number, when you're starting in the online space, there's a lot of noise out there about your 6-figure year, and then it becomes your 6-figure month, and then it becomes your 6-figure week, and then it becomes your 6-figure day. So I'm not talking about that big picture stuff. I'm not talking about the fantasy at the beginning. I'm talking about the believable number that will help you move forward. So when I'm working with clients, a big struggle that I see with them when they come to me is that they're immediately jumping to something huge. They're looking to replace their salary, build a brand, launch something that's absolutely perfect with a perfect funnel and a perfect a customer journey that brings strangers into their business overnight. And that can create what I call a gap between where you are right now and where you think you need to be. That gap feels enormous, and that doesn't allow your brain to feel motivated. Instead, it makes you feel overwhelmed. And so often when people are overwhelmed, they begin to procrastinate. You begin to scroll. You begin to see what everybody else is doing and question everything about yourself. And then you start to create stories in your head telling yourself that, maybe this just isn't for you. Or maybe this isn't the right time. But I promise you, when you start with a believable number, everything gets to change for you, because now the question isn't, how do I build a business empire? The question simply becomes, how could I realistically create this amount of value for someone? And that is a much smaller, much clearer problem. For me, when I was beginning in the online space, the believable number for me back then, when I was still teaching full time, the number for me was €1,100 a month. Like, this number blows my mind now, years later, that was the catalyst that allowed me to kind of feel like that's something I can do. Because instead of, like I said, trying to build this giant business, all I had to ask myself was, how can I make €1,100 a month? The reason behind that number was because when I took away my childcare costs, if it was a case that I was going to leave my teaching job, if I took away my childcare costs, took away the diesel costs for getting to and from my teaching job, the general expenses of just working outside of home and lunches and coffees and all those things, I came up with this number that would allow me to be at home and get started. It would allow me to cover my basic expenses at home. So the number for me, like I said, was €1,100. It could be a different number for you. But then once you have that number in your head, you can start to ask yourself, how many clients do I need in order to reach that number? Could it be like 5 clients who are paying me €220? Could it be 2 clients who are paying me €550? this is all relative to the number 1,100 because it's where I started. For me, what I wanted to do was go into the online space, and I decided to take my experience of teaching and build a workshop. And so this workshop I priced at €100 when I was starting out. And in order to be able to make my believable number, it meant that I needed 11 people to attend this workshop. 11 people on a monthly basis to come to my workshop. I would create it once and repeat the exact same workshop over and over and over again, optimizing it, repeating it, rinsing and repeating it, and every single time kind of figuring out something that could be changed, something that could be improved, and making little changes to it. But in terms of the energy and effort that went into creating something, it got created once. And then the only job that I had to do was market it, become visible, create a message that I stood behind, and get it out there in the online space, choosing a platform to make yourself known and invite as many people as possible to this workshop so that you could get, at a bare minimum, 11 people attending. And then everything above that 11 people was a bonus. So when you apply this to yourself, could you create a simple service that you already know how to do? You're not trying to build the empire here, not yet. You're literally solving one practical problem. And when you solve that problem once, something really important happens, because you now get proof. Proof that someone will pay you in the online space. Proof that you can create value because of the feedback that they give you. You can ask them, how was it for you? And be able to tweak it, like look for their constructive feedback, tweak it, see it as your biggest learning opportunity. But you get proof that this is no longer an idea anymore. It's something that you can truly run with. I'll tell you one really sad thing is that most people never get to this stage because they try to build something too big too soon. They try to climb the whole mountain before taking the first step. And the first step does not need to be huge. It just needs to be believable. If you believe in something, nothing can get in your way to allow you to push it through. So here's a simple exercise for you to take away today. Write down the smallest monthly number that would genuinely help change your life. Maybe it covers childcare like it did for me. Maybe it pays for your groceries. Maybe it gives you some breathing room. And ask yourself one simple question. What is the simplest way I could help someone enough to be able to earn this amount of money? The question is where real businesses get to start. And it's not with the grand plan. You can sit at home and plan all day long. I would say planning is often dressed up in procrastination. So instead, if you have found yourself sitting at that laptop, not being able to get any further, start with this one believable number. You don't need to know how to build the business empire just yet. You just need proof that you can help one person, then another after that. And eventually something surprising happens. That small believable number grows into something much bigger, probably completely and utterly unexpected and outside of your vision can even hold right now. But you never start there. You get to start with this one simple, believable number.